Running on Empty.
I'm Sam.
I'm Grace.
And I'm Fallon.
Today we're going to be talking to you about Chapter 4 in the textbook. What we want you to get out of this is how to make a sound decision based on the 6 steps of the decision-making model.
But first, before we get to the decision-making model, we're going to talk about different decision-making styles. I am a reflexive decision maker. I like to make decisions fast. I don't like to think about the pros and cons very much. I just like to do it. The positive side of this is I tend to not procrastinate and I decide on things very quickly. But the negative side is I tend to regret some of the decisions I make and second guess some of the decisions I make.
I am the consistent decision-making style, which means I am a mixture of reflexive and reflective. I don't take a long time to make a decision, but I don't take a short time either. I take just the perfect amount of time.
And I am also a consistent style decision maker, which is most likely to follow the decision making model, but I was close to being what Connor is.
I am a reflective decision maker. I tend to take a lot more time making up my mind because reflective decision makers tend to wait until they have as much possible knowledge about something before they make any choice. But it can lead to procrastination because you wait for everything before you really choose something.
Okay, and to implement the decision-making model, we had an example of a small business running on empty, making bikes, and is a non-programming decision because it isn't a routine decision.
It's also a group decision because collectively we own the business and we're all putting in our thoughts on what we should do.
Okay, and the first step is to classify and define the problem or opportunity. And we are trying to decide whether or not to open a second location to increase revenue.
So step 2 is setting objectives and defining criteria. So when you're trying to open up a second store, of course the objective is make money as your overall goal, but also have a better market reach with a second store. More people will physically see your company's face, and also enhance branding so that people recognize you instead of just seeing you. But there's cons, of course, to trying to go for this, because as a small business, we could lose money for various reasons. Bad hiring, buying too much new inventory. There's a whole slew of things. So this added stress of of doubling business as well as more expense is dangerous if you don't plan right.
And step 3 is to generate creative and innovative alternatives. We did this by brainstorming some other ideas that we could implement besides opening a new store. Some of these ideas were opening an online store instead, expanding inventory in the store that we already have, and opening a company trailer, which will go around to different events and help with getting the name out there and getting the brand, getting people to recognize the brand.
And step 4 is analyze the alternatives and to select the most feasible. We decided out of all of the decisions to go with the online store. The online store would maximize profitability but minimize the risk.
So a very important subtopic inside of Chapter 4 is Devil's Advocate. And that is when you review the decision that you made and compare it to another one that you could have made, looking for other opportunities that you might have missed earlier in your decision making. So, of course, we were thinking about opening a second location. And with a second location, as I mentioned before, comes the advantages of it makes your company more recognized because more people will literally see it with a second shop, and there's just a lot that could be gained from that. But of course, other people argue for the decision that has been made.
The reason I would personally go with the online store, it saves money instead of opening a second store. You're not paying insurance, you're not paying rent. You have significantly less employees if you have to hire somebody to run the website, then you do that instead of having to completely fill another store with employees. And it's less risk because it's not investing into property, it's just investing into a domain.
Okay, so step 5 was to plan and implement the decision, and going with the online store, we need to build a domain, digitize the inventory, and have shipping constraints. But we could also make the price higher to compromise with the shipping constraints.
Step 6 is to control the decision that you made. So the ways we could control the online store would be web security. It's important to protect against anyone trying to hack into your website. Set prices according to the shipping price so you don't lose money. Navigation of the site has to be really good or else people won't want to use your site. It'll be too confusing and they'll just say, I'll go use another business. So the last one was network strength. It's important to be able to handle high volumes of people. So,
In summary, the steps to decision making help you evaluate the decision that you have made, but also look back on things that you could have missed. So it's important to follow these steps if you are a real business. But of course, if you are a real business, you're not doing this based solely off of a feeling. You're going to use what's called big data. And in the Chapter 4 reading, it explains it as computer software that businesses use that helps with making money, of course, but also predicting outlook and recognizing opportunities that normal eyes of a human just don't see. You need the power of computers and refined algorithms to give you that kind of perspective that we just don't have. So that qualitative look is a huge component when a real business is deciding to do something else, like open a second location for their small business.
I think that was good.
See you guys later.